A pleasant morning to you all. Believe you can, and you are halfway there. With this quote of Theodore Roosevelt, we warmly welcome you all to the yet another episode of Civilspedia's Daily Current Affairs analysis for the day of 11th October 2025, brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. And we also request you to kindly subscribe to the Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell icon for receiving prompt notification. And there is a small and important announcement from the Shankar IAS Academy that the pre-storming UPSC Prelims Test Series is going to start from 16th of October 2025, and it will be available in all the branches of Shankar IAS Academy, and it will also be available in online and offline modes. So please register yourself and secure a place for the UPSC Mains of 2026. And the topics taken for today's discussion, or the first topic is about the invasive species crisis, and the second topic is about the two successful solar schemes of India, that is PM-KUSUM and PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, and the third topic is about the ecologically fragile Vembanad Lake and the Kuttanad region, and the fourth topic is about the young talents to be included in the District Judiciary because of the recent ruling made out by the Supreme Court, and the fifth topic is about the Prelims Focus, where we discuss about the important current affairs which are very relevant for our UPSC preparation in a short and crisp manner. And the first news article for today's discussion is taken from The Hindu, and it is about the invasive alien species and the dilemma associated with the curbing of this invasive alien species from the Indian environment, shown by the conservation scientists as well as the policy makers. And what makes it in news that the conservation scientist has already warned and showed concern towards the potential crisis in India known as the invasive species crisis because of the rapid increase in the extent of this invasive alien species population in the Indian environment, as well as it's altering the it will alter the ecosystem it present in a rapid manner and potentially reduce the numbers of native biodiversity in the Indian environment, and also poses a great threat to the livelihood of other native species. And what makes the key debate in this news is that the conservation scientists as well as the policy makers need to take either to document all the invasive species and its impact first, or to act immediately while continuing the documentation. So this will be the factor for the dilemma to take action to curb the invasive alien species. And the expert recommendation as well as argue regarding this dilemma is that both the actions need to be taken in a simultaneous manner, that the impact assessment of this invasive alien species as well as the documentation of this species needs to be taken in a simultaneous manner, along with the conservation measures need to taken for the environment to make it more sustainable and viable one. And this process needs to be go hand in hand, as waiting to take the decision will make the ecological irreversible loss. And for that we need to know about what is invasive alien species. The definition is that it is non-native species introduced either intentionally or accidentally to a new ecosystem, and where the species of this newly introduced ecosystem of this species will they establish and they spread rapidly and disrupt the native species. That the increase in the population of this invasive alien species in the new ecosystem will eventually lead to the dwindling of population of native species in that ecosystem, and it also affects the ecosystem balance of that new ecosystem. And what are the potential ways that this invasive alien species are introduced into an environment? It can either be introduced as an ornamental plant or through aquaculture, or it can be introduced into the new ecosystem as the biological control factor, or it can be either traded through pet or aquarium. And the soil transport, which is a very important, that the soil transport will be the potential factor for introducing a new invasive alien species into a new ecosystem. So what are the impacts possessed by this invasive alien species is that it outcompetes the native species and also alters the composition of soil nature and the water chemistry, and it reduces the biodiversity in that ecosystem and also affects the ecosystem services eventually. And with respect to the India's invasive alien species situation, it has estimated number of invasive alien species around 139 species has been identified in the Indian environment, which mainly composed of plants, insects, and aquatic weeds. And with respect to the aquatic ecosystem, the alien species will be estimated around 626, which will be introduced into this environment through aquarium trade or aquaculture or as a mosquito control factor. So with this aquarium or aquatic species, the alien species introduced to India for through the aquaculture process or the aquaculture factor is that the African catfish has been introduced from Bangladesh to India in the process of aquaculture. So after the introduction, it has been made as a invasive alien species to the Indian environment. And with respect to the global numbers of this invasive alien species, it has been identified around 37,000 invasive alien species with around 3,500, which is the 10% of the 37,000 will be a potential harmful invasive alien species for both ecology as well as environment and economics. And what are the threats that it affects? More than 1,000 threatened freshwater fish species. That the introduction of this invasive alien species to the aquatic environment will be a potential threat to the livelihood of various freshwater fish species and numerous terrestrial ecosystems. And what are the major invasive species, alien species in India at present are the Prosopis julifera, which is a UPSC previous year prelims question. So we need to note that this Prosopis julifera is also known as Vilayati babul or Gando bavar, which was known to be the origin having the Central or South America, and it has been introduced into India in the 19th century in a large scale manner as a measure for afforestation and to combat the soil salinity. But at present, this Prosopis julifera is also a invasive alien species to the Indian environment, and it also been categorized as the most ecologically damaging invasive species in India. And what are the impacts that the Prosopis julifera it contains? This that it dominates the bunny grasslands, which is also very important for our UPSC prelims preparation. We need to note that the grasslands or ecosystem of India, this will be one of the important grasslands in India, that is bunny grasslands of Gujarat. It dominates the region by increasing the population of this Prosopis julifera, and it also covers the 50 to 60% of its bunny grasslands covered by this invasive species, and it depletes the groundwater, which will reduce the grazing land for the herders, and it also increases the soil salinity. So this Prosopis julifera will be very water thirsty plant, and it will lead to the depletion of groundwater and eventually increase the soil salinity, and it displaces the native species like Acacia nilotica. So this is also very important for our UPSC preparation, and it lead to the collapse of traditional pastoral system. So pastoral herders or the livelihood depending on the pastoral ecosystem will be dwindled, and which will be on threat because of this extent of this Prosopis julifera. And the second species is water hyacinth, where we can see in the Indian aquatic ecosystem in common, that is Pontidaria craspius, and the origin is known from South America, which is brought to India as an ornamental use. And the nature is of this water hyacinth is that it floating aquatic weed, which tops the top 10 worst invasive species globally, which was categorized by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. And what are the potential impacts possessed by this water hyacinth is that its rapid growth in the aquatic ecosystem will block the sunlight and the depletion of dissolved oxygen in the water ecosystem, which will also choke the rivers and lakes canal, and it will also lead to the algal bloom of that region. And it also reduces the fish population, because the depletion of the dissolved oxygen in an aquatic environment will also lead to the dwindling in number of population of fish species, and increases the mosquito breeding, as it possesses ambiguous ground for the increase in the population of mosquito, and it clogs the irrigation canals and hydropower reservoirs. And the third species is alligator weed, which is Alternanthera philoceroides, and the origin is South America, and the habitat is mainly consist of wetlands, irrigation channels and rice fields. And the potential impact, it forms a dense mat-like structure which reduces the oxygen level and the penetration of sunlight into the aquatic environment, and it hinders the navigation, as we cannot able to sail through this alligator weed, which will eventually lead to the dwindling in activities of trade like activities, and the irrigation process is also affected, and the agricultural productivity will be greatly affected because of the less flow of water through to the irrigated land. And the difficulty to eradicate this alligator weed from the ecosystem will uh, uh, give the stimulus to the high regenerative capacity, that this alligator weed is of highly regenerative, and it will rapidly increase its population in that region, so it is very difficult to eradicate from that ecosystem. And the third species is duckweed or Lamonidae species, which will be origin of cosmopolitan in nature, because it prevalence all around the globe, and some are native to that environment, or some are alien to that environment, and some are introduced into that aquaculture. And it is smallest flowering aquatic plants floating on water surface. And what are the potential threats possessed by this and the impact possessed by this duckweed to the ecosystem is that excessive growth indicates the nutrient pollution. So what is nutrient pollution? That is eutrophication, that is excess runoff from various sources into an common aquatic ecosystem will lead to the nutrient pollution, which will eventually lead to the eutrophication of that aquatic ecosystem. And this duckweed will be a potential indicator of this nutrient pollution in that aquatic environment, and it blocks the sunlight, affecting the submerged vegetation and fish, because the submerged vegetation will be in need of sunlight, so it blocks the sunlight, so it dwindles and inhibits the growth of this submerged vegetation, as well as the fish species which are depending on the submerged vegetation. And it is useful in controlled environments, as this duckweed can be used for aquaculture in aquarium, and it is also a potential wastewater used in the wastewater treatment plants. So it is a double-edged species, so it is categorized as double-edged species. When it is used in a viable manner, it can be given benefit to that environment, but it also poses a threat to having a potential threat to that ecosystem. And the other species is water lettuce or Pistia stratitos, which will be of origin has not been identified yet, because it is uncertain in nature, and possible factor of origin are South Africa or South America. And the nature of this water lettuce is a floating freshwater plant with rosette like leaves. So what are the impacts possessed by this water lettuce is that it clogs the waterway, as like the other weed species. prevents the light penetration and reduces the dissolved oxygen, and it also affects the biodiversity in the wetlands and the fisheries associated with the wetland. And and it spreads through the vegetative propagation. So it is very important that we have to note the water lettuce will be propagate or increase in population because of the vegetative propagation, and it is hard to control manually as it propagates to vegetative propagation. If we break it in two pieces, it will grow eventually to a new separate species, so it is very hard to control manually. And what are the broader ecological and policy implications that the at the species level, the invasive alien species will be dwindle the native species reproductive process as well as the survivable ability of this native species. And at the population level, the genetic diversity of the native species will be decreasing in trend, and the local extinction of this native species is also possible because of this invasive alien species. And at the ecosystem level, it affects the food webs, nutrient cycles, as well as it alters the hydrology of that ecosystem, and it will eventually lead to the formation of new ecosystem. And what are the conservation dilemmas that we have discussed earlier? Either they have to wait to document all the invasive alien species, or to start managing on conserving the environment, because to curb this invasive alien species from the environment will uh, make the environment more potential as well as viable. So the expert has been recommending to document and conserve in a parallel manner to avoid time loss. And what are the key recommendations? Develop a standardized quantitative framework to assess impact and identify priority species on that region. And with respect to the institutions and policy associated with the curbing of this invasive alien species, or the Convention on Biological Diversity, which is a major international binding agreement on the parties or states. And under this, Article 8 of H urges the countries to prevent introduction and control of invasive species. And with respect to this Convention on Biological Diversity, there is a two binding agreement based on that, the Cartagena Protocol and Nagoya Protocol. And with respect to this Cartagena Protocol, it is related to the transboundary movement of living modified organism, and the next Nagoya Protocol is related to the access to the uh, genetic diversity or the genetic resources. And moving to the next is the National Biodiversity Authority. With respect to the India, it has been introduced as a statutory body under the Biodiversity Act of 2002, and it monitors the introduction of alien species and regulates the bioresources of India. And the third is the National Mission on Biodiversity and Human Well-being, and it supports the invasive species management, and it can be done through scientific and citizens based moral interventions. And the last is the state biodiversity boards, which documents the process of invasive species in the biodiversity of India, and it also registers the species nature and impact possessed by this species. And moving to the prelims practice question with reference to invasive alien species in India, consider the following statement. First statement, Prosophis julifera was originally introduced to India to combat soil salination, but now contributes to groundwater depletion and salinity. And the second statement, Alternanthera philoceroides is a native plant species that helps restore nutrient balance in wetland ecosystem. And the third statement, Lemonidae species, though sometimes invasive, can be used in wastewater treatment under controlled condition. Which of the above statements are correct? So we have already discussed that this Prosophis julifera has been introduced to India to combat soil salination, but eventually it led to the threat of groundwater depletion and salinity. So the first statement was correct, and the second statement was incorrect because it is not native plant species. which will not help to restore the nutrient balance in the wetland ecosystem. So the second statement was incorrect. So we can eliminate the second statement from the option. So we can easily arrive at the answer that 1 and 3 will be the correct answer, and this third statement is also correct. With this, we move to the next topic. And this news article is also taken from The Hindu, and it is about the India's plan to showcase its two major successful solar schemes known as PM-KUSUM and PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana to several African countries and island nations. And the primary objective of showcasing these two successful schemes is to promote the clean energy usage and to promote rural employment, and also to have the energy access in the developing nations which is currently facing difficulty in generating or creating grid connectivity in that region. And this initiative will be carried out through the International Solar Alliance platforms. And we also have to note about the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Uttan Maha Abhiyan, which is the abbreviation of PM-KUSUM, which is being launched in the year of 2019, and the nodal ministry of the scheme will be Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which is of UPSC importance. And the primary objective of this scheme is to solarize the India's agricultural sector. So this will be also very important, and to reduce the dependence on diesel and electric pumps. So to weed out the diesel and electric pumps for the irrigating the agricultural field will be the primary objective, and it also has the objective to enhance the farmers' income by enabling them to sell the surplus power to DISCOMs, that is distribution companies. So after irrigating the field, the excessly generated electricity through the solar energy will be sold to this distribution companies by the farmers, will enable them to have the surplus monetary benefit from through this scheme. And this scheme has three major components, and the component A will be focusing more over the generation of solar energy or the electricity of capacity 10,000 megawatts through the installation of decentralized solar plants on barren or fallow lands. And the component B will be focusing more over the establishment or the provision of 17.5 lakh standalone off-grid solar pumps. And the third component, or the component C, will be focusing more over the solarization of 35 lakh existing grid connected pumps. And what are the key achievements done by this scheme is that around 70% of standalone solar pumps has been installed across the India, and only 6% of grid connected renewable power plants has been completed under the scheme. So the scheme is likely to be extended beyond March 2026, as it is very progressive and successful as of now. And the primary significance of introduction of this PM-KUSUM scheme is to reduce the fuel subsidy burden which is being faced by the agriculture for irrigating their land using their diesel or electric pumps, and to promote the decentralized renewable energy, and to enhance the climate resilience and energy security in agricultural sector. And moving to the next scheme, that is PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. It was launched in the year of 2024. The primary objective of this scheme is to promote the rooftop solar in residential homes. So this will be focusing more over the residential area, and PM-KUSUM scheme will be focusing more over the agriculture sector. And it has the target one, that the target is to create 1 crore household with up to 300 units of free month, creating the electricity around 300 units in 1 crore households for which will be free for a month. And the main feature of this PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana is to have the subsidy. The beneficiary will have the subsidy of around 60% in small systems, and the DISCOM is also linked, that is the distribution companies, for net metering direct subsidy transfer to the beneficiaries, that the beneficiaries will get the benefits and the monetary amount directly through their bank to their banks. So it will be of direct benefit transfer scheme. And moving to the next is of the International Solar Alliance, which is very important with respect to our UPSC prelims. And there is an UPSC previous year question which was asked in the year of 2016, if my memory is right. And this International Solar Alliance has been launched in the year of 2015 on Convention of Parties 21 at Paris. And this International Solar Alliance has been headquartered at Gurugram, India, and the founder will be India and France, which is also very important. And it has the member country around 120 plus countries are the parties to this International Solar Alliance. And it is the member countries will be found between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So it will be very sunshine nations. And the objective of this alliance is to have foster the global cooperation in solar energy. So this solar alliance will be focusing more over the renewable energy through solar. And with respect to this International Solar Alliance, it will be the first treaty-based intergovernmental body headquartered in India. So this is of very importance with respect to the Indian point of view, and it will be the only and the first treaty-based intergovernmental body headquartered in India. And this showcasing of this initiative or the scheme to the various African nations and island nations will have the focus more over the scaling up of solar applications like solar pumps, mini grids and rooftop systems to that nations, and to have the capacity building with respect to the accessing to the clean energy, policy harmonization and the technology transfer. And it also focuses more over the solar pump initiative in Africa, and it also aligned with the International Solar Alliance Solar for Agriculture mission. So this Solar for Agriculture will be also a potential UPSC prelims question that it can be asked in the UPSC prelims, like Solar for Agriculture mission is being implemented, or is the mission of which of the following organization or the which of the following bodies. So it will be of very importance. And moving to the prelims question section, with reference to India's renewable energy initiative, consider the following statement. The first statement, the PM-KUSUM scheme provides for installation of solar power plants exclusively on government lands. And the second statement, the PM Surya Ghar Yojana aims to provide up to 300 units of free electricity per month to household installing rooftop solar panels. And the third statement, the International Solar Alliance is the first treaty-based intergovernmental organization headquartered in India. So the first statement is correct, because the PM-KUSUM scheme provides for the installation of solar power exclusively on not only on the government land. So the first statement was incorrect, and the second statement and third statement was correct. So we can easily eliminate the first statement, as it is not exclusively focuses on government land, it focuses more on the barren and fallow lands. So the first statement was incorrect, and the answer will be option B, 2 and 3 only. Let's check. Yes. With this, we move to the next topic. And this news article is also taken from The Hindu, and it is about the warnings issued by the Central Water Resource Department to Kerala government with respect to the increase in number of houseboats in the Kerala's Vembanad Lake and Kuttanad region, which are considered to be the ecologically fragile or ecologically sensitive zones, which shows major concern towards the environment. And with respect to the Vembanad Lake, it has been located in the Kerala's Alappuzha, Kottayam and Ernakulam district. It has been distributed along this district in Kerala, and the entire length of this Vembanad Lake is around 96 kilometers, which is considered to be the largest lake in Kerala and the longest lake in India. And this is a type of brackish water lagoon, which is a mix of both the fresh water and the saline water, and the fresh water is from the various confluence of various rivers into this lake, and this rivers inflows into this Vembanad Lake consist of Pamba River, Meenachal River, Achankovil, Manimala and Muvattapuzha River. And this Vembanad Lake will confluence into the ocean at Arabian Sea on Kochi. And it is categorized, or it has been listed as a Ramsar site since 2002, and it is of very ecologically importance as it supports various migratory bird species and fish species, and the adequate number of clam species also available at that lake, and it is also seen as a vital place for tourism activities and the navigation activities. And the major issues associated with the ecologically fragile zone of this Vembanad Lake is pollution is the major concern towards this Vembanad Lake, and as it is a shallow lake in nature, it is possibly having the siltation process in that lake will be the major concern, and the eutrophication because of the river runoff from various rivers and invasive weeds will be possible issue at that Vembanad Lake, because it has been confluenced by both the rivers and it also being associated with the Arabian Sea. And the other major issue is of unregulated tourism. And here we can see the Vembanad Lake with having a major stretch in the Kerala's natural ecosystem, and it has been found alongside with the Arabian Sea. So it confluences with the Arabian Sea at Kochi. And what are the environmental challenges associated with the Vembanad Lake at present? Or it has accommodating around 900 plus houseboats has been reportedly operating at that Vembanad Lake, which is only the registered numbers, and without any official registration even more numbers of houseboats has been accommodated there, and it has been in confluence of raw sewage waste and other waste material which has been discharged into this lake will create eutrophication at that region, and the siltation and weed growth will be the potential threat to this ecologically sensitive area, which is also reducing the water depth and oxygen level at that lake. And the plastic litters of piling on that lake and poor enforcement of pollution control norms will be the primary concern towards the Vembanad Lake conservation, and which will also eventually lead to the declining rate of population in fish breeding capacity, and it also affects the occupation of fisheries at that region. And with respect to the Kuttanad region, it has been located along the Alappuzha, Kottayam and Pathanamthitta districts of Kerala, with having the unique feature of farming below the sea level. So this can be of our UPSC prelims importance, and it can be also reflected in our UPSC prelims. And the main crop cultivated on that region is rice, notably the crop known as puncha crop. And the irrigation or the hydrology depends on this Kuttanad region is of partly containing the wetlands of Vembanad ecosystem, and this Kuttanad will also have the recognition from the food and administrative organizations globally important agriculture heritage system. So this is also very important with respect to our UPSC prelims preparation, as it can be reflected in a statement based question like Kuttanad will have the recognition of FAO's globally important agriculture heritage system. So we need to be very aware of that, and the challenge associated with the conservation of this nature with respect to this Kuttanad region will be from flooding and the saline intrusion through Vembanad Lake or through the Arabian Sea's influence, or the loss of fish habitat from tourism pressures. And here is the pictorial depiction of Kuttanad region in the Kerala, and here we can see the Vembanad Lake is very closely associated with the region of Kuttanad. And with respect to the Central Water Resource Department, it functions under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and it the primary function is to oversee the surface water use, lake management and the hydrological studies. And that Central Water Resource Department has recently warned that the vessel density in the Vembanad Lake exceeds the ecological limits, which will be not viable for the ecologically sensitive zone like Vembanad Lake, and it also poses a risk of irreversible wetland damage. And moving to the prelims practice question with reference to Vembanad coal wetland system, consider the following statement. The first statement, it is India's largest freshwater lake and supports farming below sea level in some parts. And second, it has been designated as both the Ramsar site and a globally important agriculture heritage system, that is GIAHS. And the third statement, the Vembanad Lake receives inflows from multiple west flowing rivers and opens into the Bay of Bengal. And which of the above statement is all correct? So the first statement is correct, and the second statement is also correct, and the third statement is incorrect because it is not the opens into Bay of Bengal, it opens into Arabian Sea. So we can easily eliminate the third option and easily arrive at the answer that 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. Yes, with this we move to the next topic. And this news article is also taken from The Hindu, and it is about the landmark rulings made out by the Supreme Court regarding the inclusion of young talents and young minds in the District Judiciary. And what made it in news, because before this landmark judgment by the Supreme Court, only the practicing advocates with at least 7 years of experience at the Bar Council were eligible for direct recruitment for the post of district or additional district judges. And the serving judicial officers who are, even though having the experience of practicing the 7 years of advocacy or as a lawyer, before joining as a judicial officer, they were not eligible to be appointed or to be apply for the direct recruitment as district or additional district judges posting. And what makes this landmark judgment, because it creates earlier provision creates stagnation in the judicial employment, and it also reduces the motivation among the young talents to get recruited into the judicial framework, and it also decreases the efficiency of judicial employment in the lower courts level. And what makes this Supreme Court's ruling a landmark one, because it was ruled out by the 5-judge constitutional bench headed by our present Chief Justice of India, Shri B.R. Gawai, and the case under which this landmark ruling has been ruled out was Rajneesh KV versus K. Deepa of 2025. And what the court has been held or ruled out in this present judgment was the eligibility has been currently expanded to the judicial officers too. That is, judicial officers who have 7 years of experience combined as an advocate and as a judicial officer are now also eligible for the direct recruitment as a post for the post of district or additional district judges. And the minimum age has been fixed, and the criteria has been set out for the recruitment for the posting of district judges, that the candidate has, whether from the Bar Council or from the judicial service, must have to complete at least 35 years old on the date of their application. And the third ruling is that uniform rules has to be made out across the judicial system in the Indian environment, and all states and high courts must be amend the judicial service rules within the framework of 3 months to align with this judgment. And the fourth ruling progress or the provision under which the judgment has been made out is the Article 233 subclass 2 of interpretation has been revised, that earlier interpretation excludes in-service judges, that is, the judicial officers are excluded from the earlier provision that they are not eligible for the direct recruitment process as a district judge. Now it has been expanded and inclusive in manner that it states that experience as an advocate and judge, both an advocate and the judicial officer, to be combined and to made count towards the 7 years recruitment. So they need the advocates of who are practicing more than 7 years are also eligible for the post of direct recruitment as the district judge, and the judicial officers who have the combined experience as an advocate and judge are also eligible for the direct recruitment or for the post of judge and additional district judge. And what are the key provisions that we have to discuss? That Article 233 of subclass 2 of Indian Constitution that deals with the appointment of district judges, that states that the person not already in service of union or state can be appointed if they have been advocate for at least 7 years. And now after this ruling, the clause is qualificatory and not exclusionary in nature, which means that the judicial officers are not barred or prohibited, and they are combined, their experience will be combined and made to count. And coming to the prelims practice question session, and there is a previous year question which was asked in the year of 2022 in UPSC Prelims, that the question is with reference to India, consider the following statements. The first statement: government law officers and legal firms are recognized as advocates, but corporate lawyers and patent attorneys are excluded from the recognition as advocates. The second statement: Bar Council have the power to lay down the rules relating to legal education and recognition of law colleges. Which of the statements given above is or correct? And this is a previous year question, as we have already aware that the first statement was incorrect because they are also being included in the recognition as an advocate and they may not be excluded. So the first statement was incorrect and the second statement was correct, and the answer will be option B. Yes. With this, we move to the next topic. And coming to the prelims focus, the first topic is Sujalam Bharat Summit, which is being organized by the Ministry of Jal Shakti under the guidance of Niti Aayog. And the primary focus of this Sujalam Bharat Summit, as it is a roadmap for attaining the India's vision known as the Viksit Bharat of 2047, and to have more focus over the water security and the sustainable usage of water. And the themes observed under this Sujalam Bharat Summit will be more focusing over the river rejuvenation, grey water reuse, water technology and conservation, drinking water sustainability, and the community engagement. So these are all the themes that are very important for our UPSC preparation, that it can be reflected in the UPSC prelims question with respect to this Sujalam Bharat Summit. So this Sujalam Bharat Summit will be focusing more over the water security and the sustainable usage of water. So Sujalam means the plentiful good water in the Indian environment. So Su means good and Jal means water. So Sujalam means the plentiful good water in resource in India. And the next topic is sixth thematic workshop on water conservation and recharge, and it is being this workshop is being organized by the National Water Mission, which is under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, which is also being coordinated by the Niti Aayog. And the primary aim of conducting this thematic workshop on water conservation and the water recharge into the natural environment is to translate the policy which is in textual in nature into action, and to promote innovation in the conservation of water, as well as to recharge the water into the natural environment, and to highlight the successful grassroots level initiative taken with respect to the conservation of water. And what makes this thematic workshop a significant one is that it reaffirms the India's commitment towards the conservation of water, and to have the vision of Sujalam, attain the vision of Sujalam Bharat, which was discussed, which we will be discussing, which we have discussed earlier in the previous slide. And moving to the next topic is the INS Abhay, which is being decommissioned from the Indian Navy. That this INS Abhay is of Soviet origin. It is known as Spark II class of anti-submarine corvette, and it is being commissioned on 10th March of 1989 at Poti, Georgia. And the INS Abhay has been serving the Indian Naval Service around 3 decades, that is 30 years of coastal defense, and it is played a major role. It has played a major role with respect to the anti-submarine warfare patrols and operational deployments. So the significance of this INS Abhay, it has been valued for this anti-submarine warfare activities and the coastal security roles, and recently it has been decommissioned from the Indian Naval Service. And the next topic is about the INFAC T-82, which is also being decommissioned from the Indian Air Force. That this INFAC T-82 is also is from the Israeli origin, and it is known as the Super Dvora Mark II class fast aircraft or a fast attack aircraft, which is being commissioned on 2003 at Naval Dockyard, Mumbai. And this INFAC T-82 has been serving the Indian Air Force around 3 decades, that is 30 years. It is also being served for the nation around 30 years, and it has played a major role in search and rescue operation, submarine escorts, as well as coastal interdiction missions. And the primary motto of this aircraft is stealth and strike. And moving to the prelims practice question, the question is: consider the following statement regarding Sujalam Bharat Summit. First statement: it was organized by the Ministry of Jal Shakti under the guidance of Niti Aayog. And the second statement: its key themes included water conservation, grey water reuse, and rejuvenation of rivers and springs. Which of the statements given above is or correct? So we have discussed about this in the earlier slide, that it is being organized by the Ministry of Jal Shakti but under the guidance of Niti Aayog. So the first statement was correct, and the second statement is also correct because the key themes including the water conservation, grey water reuse, and the rejuvenation of water and rivers and springs. So they have asked about the correct statement. Both the statements are correct, and the answer will be option C. Yes. With this, we came to the conclusion of this video, and hope you guys like the video. Please share your positive comments and suggestions in the comment section given below, and share the video to your friends. And please don't forget to subscribe the Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel and click the bell icon for receiving prompt notification. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for the day. Have a good day.